Hello and welcome to this Macbeth webinar for years 10 and 11. We are looking at King Duncan and his sons. Essentially, these are the royal family, the rightful heirs of the throne of Scotland. Now, we're looking at quotations that reveal character and link to key themes, but also we're using subject terminology to analyse some of these quotations. Let's start off with the king himself. He has a very short-lived role because by Act 2, Scene 2, he is brutally murdered in his sleep in cold blood, planned by Lady Macbeth and enacted by Macbeth. But in Act 1, as he is removing a traitor from role, from position, and hanging the traitor and giving the traitor's title to Macbeth, he explains the relationship he had with that traitor, who was the former Thane of Cawdor. And King Duncan says this: "There's no art to find the mind's construction in the face. He was a gentleman on whom I built an absolute trust." There's no art to find a mind's construction in the face. It's not difficult to look at a face and see what someone is like. King Duncan had looked and understood at the outside, the appearance, but not understood the reality, the inside, the heart of Cawdor, which was treacherous, but had colluded with other countries to try and overpower Scotland and take Duncan off the throne. This perhaps shows that Duncan is someone who is too easily trusting, too gullible, as a king, almost too honest, and because he believes in honesty, he thinks other people will be fair dealing. So this shows really this idea that kingship cannot be too trusting. And the idea of betrayal is very much underscored here, because the treatment of Cawdor with King Duncan is foreshadowing the treatment of Macbeth with King Duncan. Cawdor was a person who he's built an absolute trust upon, and Macbeth was the same, and Duncan ended up dead. We also want to look at the younger son, Donald Bain, before we look at the older son. Now, Donald Bain actually is different from his father. It seems that the younger generation somehow have been able to learn from their father's mistake. Donald Bain, when he hears that his father has been murdered brutally in his sleep, says this to his older brother: "To Ireland I, our separated fortune, shall keep us both the safer. Where we are, there daggers in men's eyes, the nearer in blood, the nearer bloody." So he decides to go to Ireland. His older brother goes to England, and he says that separate, they are far more successful, or more likely to be successful. And that comparative adjective, safer, shows that their fortunes are better divided. Now it says where we are, as in Scotland, this present moment, there's daggers in men's smiles. And this metaphor, daggers, shows that there's a threat in every corner. He doesn't believe the mind's construction in the face. He doesn't believe that smile means an ally. There could be enmity behind a smile, is what Donald Bain's saying, suggesting like that, unlike his father, he understood that betrayal could be at every corner. And he even says, the near in blood, the nearer bloody. The closer they are in blood, in relation, the more likely they are to kill us. He's understood, and he's guessed, it seems to be, that Macbeth has enacted the murder because he's next in line after Malcolm. Okay, let's talk very briefly about Malcolm. In Act 4, Scene 3, Malcolm, the rightful heir to the throne, tests Macduff. He pretends to be vicious and cruel, and he asks Macduff to join him and his army and going back to Scotland after his time in England. And Macduff refuses, and he says this about Macduff: "Macduff, this noble passion, child of integrity, hath my soul wipe the black scruples, reconcile my thoughts to thy good truth and honor. Because you are trustworthy, because you're a man of high moral standards, I feel I can embrace you and you can be part of my team." So Malcolm again shows that he is a clever man like his brother, who doesn't trust everyone, and he uses clever strategies. So in Act 5, Scene 6, he says, now near enough, your leafy screens throw down and show like those you are. His strategy was to use the leaves to make the siege of Macduff's castle easier. And by the end, he has conquered Macbeth and his wife, and he calls them the dead butcher and his fiend-like queen. This insult of Macbeth being a butcher, not someone who has a shop, but someone who's vicious and brutal, and her being like a fiend or demon, shows that his reign is different. He will rule with justice, integrity, and honor. I hope that's helped you understand the royal family, King Duncan and his sons. Thank you for joining me, and see you next time.